We're Sid and Mackie, and we're professional mountain bikers on a quest to race the best and most unique mountain bike races all around the globe. However, as many of you know, I had a major injury in 2019 that cast this lifestyle and career path into doubt for almost 2 years. For 18 months, I was unable to ride a bike or do any sort of exercise whatsoever. 1 year ago, on April 30th, 2021, was my first ride in 18 months. A 20-minute spin on an e-bike on flat ground. Since then, I've been building back up from nothing. And this is that story.
You said you'd be alright. Around the corner is another day. Although I know that.
Where am I now? Where do I want to be? What's in between? What's the work that we need to do to get you from where you are now to where you want to be?
So I can do hydrants, skates, little bit of like deadlift and lunge stuff. And that's literally it. And I would like to be racing mountain bikes professionally. it's kind of like
I'm really glad that Sid made me coffee for this conversation. The fitness part will be, I'm going to use the word easy, but
Mackie keeps saying that too, and I'm like, I don't know.
the fitness is going to be the easiest part. The hard part is what you're doing now. Because as an athlete, you don't want to goblet squat, what was that, 20-pound kilo?
I didn't even
or 20-pound kettlebell?
It's advisable to not look.
20-pound kettlebell. You don't want to like just do these little movements with bands and stretches, and you want to like go fast. You want to put in volume of work, and then go race. And so this is the hard work.
Very much willing to do intervals and things if I can do them without being in pain for 3 days afterwards. Like, that does sound easy.
So there you have. She just said that sounds easy.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
She did say the E word.
Last night that I would never complain about having to do intervals again. Because I was jealous that Mackie was doing intervals in the snow. Which is a low, like, you're at a pretty low point when that's what's making you jealous. Like, I really want to be out there doing intervals in freezing rain, but, like, I do. So what does it really take to regain fitness after doing next to nothing for 18 months? And is it even possible to get back to where I was? First of all, it takes patience. Patience that, to be honest, I didn't know I had. The patience to resolutely get up every day and do the same thing. The same mobility drills, the same stretches, the same movements in the gym. I want you to understand what I mean when I say that this recovery was slow. It took from November of 2019 to November of 2020 to figure out that my nerve issue was coming from my back and not my hip. So it took a year to even begin to think about making forward progress. From November of 2019 to mid-January of 2021, I did nothing but banded exercises while hooked up to an EMG machine to measure muscle activation.
I'm not gonna be surprised that it's still hurting if range of motion isn't perfect, if motor control isn't perfect, if strength isn't pretty good, meaning within 10% right versus left. And we're not quite there on all three of those, so okay, I'm not worried. And we're definitely trending up in all of those areas. So if we would get to the point where like strength is legit, right versus left, hip extension range of motion is equal, right versus left, motor control is perfect, right versus left, and it's still not where we want it to be, then we would investigate further.
From mid-January to mid-April, I was able to slowly increase the weight that I used in the gym. I started riding the e-bike in late April 2021 and didn't ride a non-e-bike until July. My pre-ride warm-up routine takes longer than my riding, especially if you factor in the post-ride mobility work. It took me from early July to mid-August to work up to riding for an hour. And August to October to do my first intensity on the bike. It's not great. Done a total of 5 training rides at this point, so not very much before a race. I was hoping for one last good one, but I felt like garbage, so I pulled the plug about 2/3 of the way through, which I always feel horrible, like I'm a quitter when I do that, but I also know that I need to recover in 5 days and race, and there's no point to, nothing to prove at this point. And in November, I did my first race, the Iceman Cometh. When I got to the start line of Iceman Cometh, I thought the hardest part was behind me. Little did I know, this journey was just beginning. Just don't want to be so far off the back that it's, humiliating.
It's okay. I mean, if you're that far off the back, then you're that far off the back.
Yeah.
The goal is to finish the race, because then you can, work towards racing next year, and
Yeah.
you know that you can do a race, and so then it's just getting faster.
While I was injured and unable to ride, or sometimes even get out of bed, I spent a lot of time daydreaming about the video I would make when all of this was over. My comeback video. In many ways, this wasn't a terrible coping mechanism. It gave me hope. It allowed me to dream of a future where I was not just back on the bike, but racing and pushing my limits. But it was also flawed, because my daydream video had a fairy tale ending. Work hard, overcome injury, race, be happy. And I made that video. Maybe you've seen it. My plan was to finish my video about Iceman and then close the book on my injury forever. 2022 was not supposed to be about this injury.
What were you just saying?
Just that, I don't want to be making excuses. And I feel like if I talk about my injury, if that's always the story, then that's in my head. We go to a race, it's oh, but you were injured for 2 years.
Yeah. I think the key, though, is figuring out the balance.
Yeah.
Because
I was injured for 2 years.
Because you were injured for 2 years. And basically giving yourself not an excuse, but acknowledging that you haven't had as much training as you want yet since your injury, and therefore you're not going to be where you would have been had you not been injured for 2 years.
Yeah, I think it's just a really fine line, because I don't want that to be the narrative. I'm sick of it. I'm over it. But yet at the same time, it's been almost a year since I started riding again, and I don't know, it just didn't come back as fast as I had hoped, and I'm just not where I want to be. And I'm afraid if I don't acknowledge that I don't know.
You'll get frustrated.
Yeah, more frustrated. I think I just had an idea in my head of what it would look like, and that reality has not lived up to that exactly.
This is what your recovery would have looked like, or
yeah. If you see most athletes who are injured like pro athletes, right? Like there's this trajectory that they perform for the internet or media or whatever of like, you're injured and you put in all this work and then you're better than before. Like that's the like Hollywood version.
And I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility. It just has not happened yet.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lag period that nobody talks about, that it's like this period where you put in like more work than you thought possible and like not really seeing the results yet. Yes, I overcame not riding for 18 months and raced a 30-mile mountain bike race. Yes, I finished. Yes, I was thrilled to be able to do that, and yes, I was not quite last in the pro category. But here's the thing, I'm also not an idiot. I finished Iceman and I knew it was a fairly poor showing compared to what 2019 Sid could do. I got my fairy tale ending, sure, but I also got a big fat reminder of how very, 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 very far I yet had to go. Here's what didn't make the cut for that video. Are you gonna film me walking up the stairs?
Yes. You can do it.
Something is not happy with my right hand. Oh, God. Ow. I actually can't put weight on that going up. So we're gonna go like this. I was very not prepared for this race.
I mean, you made it. Fairly quickly still.
Oh. Okay.
Good job. I'm proud of you.
Thanks.
So,
Well, the results were a little unimpressive, but
how did you do?
I was 32nd out of 34.
You were not last.
No.
That's awesome.
No.
Good job.
Since November, I've put in more work than I ever remember doing before. Heavy gym workouts 2 to 3 times a week. Intervals on the bike 2 to 3 times a week. Mobility work almost every day. I've also had my fair share of setbacks, getting sick, dealing with some knee pain, things that definitely aren't a big deal, but can kind of feel like it when you already feel like you have lost so much time.
How you doing? Good job.
When I raced Moab Rocks in early April of this year, the results showed exactly what I expected. I had gained back an enormous amount of fitness since Iceman. I was still about 15 minutes slower each day than I was when I did this race in 2019. While I was mostly just grateful to be racing, there were moments where I found that difficult to handle. Realistically, I know that probably beat expectations.
I mean, you didn't crack. You didn't bonk. I'm proud of you. You did an awesome job.
It's hard to try to be realistic and grateful that I could even do that. I could do it as fast as I could, but also just be at the bottom of the results sheet and not other people are so damn fast.
You're not where you want to be yet.
Yeah.
It's okay.
I was looking at your power data set, and I have a page on my WKO that shows me what the trends are for the last 90 days, and all of your power, peaks, 5 second, 1 minute, 20 minute, 60 minute, are all trending up right now. So
That's good.
I'm happy with where your fitness is right now. It's going to continue to improve for a long time.
Okay. If you are in a similar situation and dealing with a prolonged period of time off the bike, here's what I want you to know. It does come back. Just maybe not on the timeline you were planning. You will have to be patient, you will have to give yourself grace, and day after day, you will have to choose to stay in the fight. But Mike wasn't wrong. Compared to being injured or doing nothing but glute activations for 6 months, well, this is still the easy part. Or if not easy, at least it's a hell of a lot more fun.